Here we go. Well, what do we have here? We have a theme song for the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. That is nuts. How in the world is that happening? What sort of magic is going on that's making that occur? Well, the magic of the Rodecaster Pro, which was given to us by our sponsor Rode, along with this microphone, the Procaster, and all that kind of stuff. This is the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. Tonight we are going to talk about questions and answers. Tonight we're going to talk maybe about some smart speakers, maybe about some holiday gift ideas, maybe about COPPA. We don't really know. There's no tech news, so we don't know what we're going to talk about. But all we do know is that my name is Jason. This is Painfully Honest Tech. That's my good friend Viper. Viper, say hello to the people.
That's right. This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and we are live here on the Painfully Honest Tech podcast.
That's right. That's right. Viper is rocking his new Shure SM7B setup.
Yes, sir.
Sounding like $1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million. $1 million plus change. You know, like $1 million and 76 cents.
We are amazing. Ready.
So, how are we doing?
Oh, we are doing great. But like you said, there's not much tech news going on. So I don't know. We're going to have to wing it.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about the Mac Pro, the MacBook Pro still.
Yep.
Which, I mean, if there was something else going on in the tech world, they would have stopped talking about the MacBook Pro.
Actually, no. I'll take that back. There is something minor going on. Apple is actually holding a December event. They are, but it's unlike anything they've done before. They're basically holding an award ceremony for app developers. So that's interesting. Now, this is something that they do every year, but they've never held a dedicated event for it before now. So not sure what's happening with this. So this is interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre. I don't know exactly what that's all about either. I mean, I don't imagine we'll expect any product launches.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, I mean, well, you know, Apple, they seem to be doing that. They seem to be wanting to be the kinder, gentler Apple. They want to show the people that they're listening. They want to maybe that this is them wanting to say, well, hey, we're going to recognize these folks who make us all this money. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. You know what else is a cool thing?
What is that?
The fact that the podcast is now sponsored by Audible. Did you know that?
I did not know, but he just said the podcast is sponsored by Audible.
Yes, it is sponsored by Audible. If you go down to the description below and you hit the link, it's audibletrial.com/painfully honest tech, all one word. You get a free book and 2 free Audible originals for signing up for a free month of Audible. And yeah, so if you, I mean, I love books. Yeah, that's books are my thing, sort of. And I listen to audiobooks quite a bit because I don't necessarily have time to read all the books that I want to read. So I listen to the books that I might not have time to read. Right now, I'm just finishing up The Testament, which is the sequel to A Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Very fine.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, we got a theme song. We got sponsors. We're like real.
We got a legit podcast. That's what we got. We got a legit podcast here, folks.
It's all happening. Preston says he's got 31 subs. Congratulations.
Congrats, man. Keep going. Keep grinding, baby. Keep grinding.
Genosis is here. We've got Jason Chinsola is here. Khalil, David, Apple Monster, Mr. Urban World, Alfonso, Larry, Richard. We got all the good people here. Mediocre Tech, 504, of course, is here as always. It's all looking good.
Now is Jason Chinsola related to Han Solo?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's Chin and Solo. I think it's two things together. So look, we got our level reviews lurking out there.
The head of security got to.
Yeah, we got the head of security. So for those of you who are listening to this via the audio, the way that we do this every week is on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Right now, it's Central Standard Time. because it's not daylight savings time. Every Tuesday at 7:00 Central Standard Time, we start to record this thing where we talk about tech, and we have our live audience who, sort of chimes in. So we try and make sure that if you're listening via audio, that you kind of know what we're talking about if you can't see it. But, if you want to join us one of these nights with the broadcast, feel free to just jump on over to youtube.com/Jason T. Lewis and or hit the link down in the description below to subscribe to the channel.
Absolutely. You definitely should do those things. Now, normally, I am not here on the podcast. Normally, in my seat would be the man they call Zach Talk Tech. But right now, he's been a slacker in Mexico. Who allowed that? Who authorized that? I didn't authorize that. Did you authorize that?
I was not consulted about the vacation.
So how did this happen?
So yeah, our regular co-host Zach is down in Puerto Vallarta or someplace. I don't know.
Yep, you're right. That's where he is.
Is he? Oh man, I was just saying that because of Love Boat.
No, that's exactly where he is. He's in Puerto Vallarta. Yep.
Are you old enough to have watched Love Boat?
I did not watch it, but I am familiar with the show.
Okay. So when I was a kid, it was the weirdest show ever. Like who sold that show?
The Love Boat.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here's the show idea. It's going to be a cruise ship, and all of our characters will be the people who work on the cruise ship, and every episode will be about somebody falling in love. And they're just going to go down to Mexico and come back. I mean, who does that? I mean, there must have been a lot of cocaine going on or something for that to sound like a good idea. But it was on TV for a long time. It was on TV for a long time. I'm surprised they haven't done like a remake.
Please, no, everything being remade today. Can we please stop with the remake, please?
Oh man, but that would actually, I might tune into the Love Boat remake for one episode, just for one episode to see how bad it is, and then I might just I might tune out again.
All right. So speaking of shows and remakes and tuning in, have you had a chance to watch anything on Apple TV yet?
I have.
What have you watched?
I have watched See.
Okay.
I have watched For All Mankind.
Mm-hmm.
I've been meaning to watch The Morning Show, but I have a feeling that The Morning Show is like going to give me the feels. And, sometimes I just don't feel like getting the feels. I just want to sit there and watch something. I haven't watched it yet. I don't want to, try too hard and think too much. So
yeah. Okay.
I haven't watched that yet. But I've watched 4 episodes of See. Actually, no, last night I fell asleep. So I watched like 3.5 episodes of See and all 5 episodes of For All Mankind.
Okay. Now, I tried to watch the first episode of See, but it bored me to death. I couldn't get through it. So I watched part of the first episode. I have not watched For All Mankind just yet, but I did binge watch the entire season of Dickinson, which is a surprisingly good show. And I am in absolute love with The Morning Show. Oh my God, I love that show.
All right. So clearly I'm watching the shows that aren't any good. For All Mankind is it's the worst kind of show that it could be, because it's like it's just every stereotype that you could possibly think of in terms of like people in the 70s, like, like women are being looked down on, so they have women they put all these situations together so that like, the sort of very prim mom who stays at home with her kid ends up with the husband of somebody else because they're both their parent, but they're both their siblings, or not siblings, but significant others are up in space, and so then they connect, and it's I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's just like every stereotype that you could think of to go along with that whole sort of like 60s 70s vibe. They milk it for all it's got.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And I mean, I've been watching it, so it's good enough. Like, it's good practice, because like with shows like that, I can sit there and say, this is what they're going to say next. I mean, it's not even what they're going to do next, what's going to happen next. I know what the dialogue is before it happens. So I like to practice that.
When you watch it on TV, some of these shows get really predictable, and you can definitely start predicting dialogue. So I can understand that.
Alan Robertson, thank you for the $5 super chat.
Boom!
Free super chat. And yeah. So I also, I mean, Disney Plus.
Yeah. Have you watched The Mandalorian?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. First episode, I was like, yes, I'm down with this. Like spaghetti Western. He doesn't talk. It's just, action. And this last one, all of a sudden it turned into like a buddy comedy. It's like a buddy comedy with, like this guy in armor who doesn't talk and a 50-year-old baby.
Hey, you watch your mouth about Baby Yoda, baby. Baby Yoda is it.
I mean, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, like it went from being like pretty serious in that first episode, to like being a little less serious in this most recent episode. Although it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I think that they're making a mistake. I think both Apple TV Plus and Disney Plus are making a mistake in not at least giving us like half a season at a time.
Yeah. God, I wish they would like make it more binge worthy. That is the one thing that Netflix gets right. They give us everything up top. But I know why Apple TV Plus is pushing it out. I don't really know why Disney Plus is pushing it out, but I know why Apple TV Plus is pushing it out, because they want people to be not cancel the service after like a week of watching everything. So,
well, the thing is, like Apple's giving it away for free, so it doesn't matter what they do, right? They're giving it away for free, so people will keep it.
True, but they want people to maintain an interest over that period of time, which allows them more time to build up more catalog. So I understand.
Yeah, I guess so. But the thing that I'm a little confused with the Apple TV Plus, it's really great if you use an Apple TV box, and you use the TV app that's in there. Then all that stuff plus the other stuff that you watch from the other apps that you have, they all coalesce together,
right?
And so I see the Apple TV Plus stuff and I think like, oh, there's a new episode of whatever, and I can watch that now. But if I was just left to my own devices and had to go back to like an Apple TV Plus app, I would have never remembered to do that.
I see what you're saying.
I would have just been like, meh. So I don't know. I'll have to watch the morning show. And
yeah, you need to watch it. And you got a new best friend in Alan Robertson out here.
Alan Robertson asks or says, I have 13 Google Homes in my house, and listening to music is one of the greatest experiences in my life. To listen to it all through my house is amazing. I am such a huge fan of whole home audio as well. I've tried Google Home like connection, and Google, like, sometimes it can get a little out of sync, and you can like do it, you can like sync it up manually, but yeah, I mean, it's an amazing thing. I don't know, whole home audio is unbelievable. I just recorded a video yesterday about the best sounding smart home speakers.
Ooh.
And so I'm thinking about smart home speakers right now, because I'm thinking about, what would people want for the holidays that's tech related?
That is definitely a good way to be. And I don't have whole home audio, but I do have a Nest Home Hub Max, and the speakers on that thing are legit.
So is that the one with the screen?
Yes. I think it's a 10-inch screen on it. And
right.
Yeah, those speakers are wild.
Yeah, see, I have the little one, and the little one sounds not good.
Yeah, the little ones are trash.
Yeah, it's just not very good at all, unfortunately. And that's the thing, like so I have both. I think I have like 5 or 6 Google Home Minis or Nest Minis or whatever they're called now. And I have 5 or 6 Amazon Echo Dots. And at one point I tried them both. And I thought, like, okay, will this be the whole home audio solution for me that is less expensive than Sonos? And the thing about the Echo Dot is that it has a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary out, so you can plug those things into other speakers, which is nice, because on their own, just like the Google Home Mini, they sound like poop. Right? Or should I say poop? So I tried it out. It was fiddly. I had a hard time getting everything to work together and to stay working together. So eventually I just went back. I went back and I went the Sonos route because
Ooh.
I wanted to. I have a record player, so I wanted to be able to do the turntable thing. I wanted to have whole home audio. I wanted to be able to listen to records throughout the house. I wanted to be able to sort of have my speakers instead of like just whatever speakers are in the box in the little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sonos amp is the perfect solution for that. And it's set up now. They have a new version that's set up to be kind of like an AV audio receiver kind of deal. So you can run your TV stuff through it, but then also it has an auxiliary input, so you can plug your turntable in. It has like a subwoofer out, so if you have a subwoofer, then you can plug your subwoofer in, and so I've got that going on in our sort of like TV room, family room, whatever it is, with two Sonos Play Ones in the upper corners.
Ooh, oh, you are doing it big.
And it sounds really nice.
Yeah, the Sonos speakers are always legit, but we got a detour for a minute because Alan Robinson wants to know, is Google Stadia worth the money? Now, I don't know too much about it, whether other than the fact that it's a cloud-based gaming system. Will you hush? I'm on a podcast. Hush. Dang, that's getting on my nerves. But anyway, Google Stadia, the problem with that is even though you have that service and you pay for that service, you still have to buy those games for full price for $60 in addition to paying for that service. So I don't know how good of a deal that is in the long term, but
yeah, and honestly, like I haven't looked at it all that much. I mean, Apple's arcade thing looked pretty cool. And I like it because the stuff is less expensive, and it's all like made for Apple. Is
right.
Stadia like, is it a service that's giving you like AAA type games that you can get?
No, here's the thing: you can get AAA type games on Stadia, but you have to pay for them. They're not like Apple Arcade. It's not an a la carte buffet like Apple Arcade.
Right.
Even if you have Stadia, you still have to buy the AAA game at full price. So
right.
it's a little crazy that way.
Say hey to Alex. Thank you for the $2 super chat, my friend. Yeah, that's the thing about the about Stadia. There are better ways to get your AAA gaming on than like a set-top box from Google. I'm gonna venture a guess.
Yeah, but the other cool thing about Stadia is that it's not just limited to that set-top box. You can play them on your mobile devices, tablets, wherever.
Right.
That's the allure. But like I said, you still got to buy those games, even if you're subscribed to the Stadia service. You still got to buy those individual games at full price, which is like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, part of the whole deal is that if you can go cross-platform, like, okay, if I'm going to pay $60 to own something on Stadia, then I also want to be able to say I own it on PC or Xbox or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to buy it 3 different times. And that's the nice thing about having a PC and Xbox setup is that you can basically play Xbox games on your PC and you can play PC games on your Xbox to a certain extent. I also have hooked up to this TV over here that you guys can't see because it's cut off, but I have a TV right here and it has a NVIDIA Shield, and the NVIDIA Shield offers GeForce Now, which is it sort of like Stadia, only it's not a walled garden, or like what I understand Stadia to be. So I can play games that I have on my PC on the GeForce Now app of this NVIDIA Shield. So the NVIDIA Shield has been like the secret most awesome set-top box thing for years now. They just released it again. This is like, I don't know if it's 2 or whatever, but so they've got a new NVIDIA Shield that's just a tube. It's a little tube. And then they've got the one that looks like what had been released before that has like a little bit more storage in it and stuff like that. And but yeah, I don't know. Stadia doesn't sound like, from what I was seeing in headlines and little bits that I read here and there, it didn't sound like it was coming out of the gate strong either.
No, I think there's only like 22 titles available at launch, and you can play it through PC or Mac. You'd have to do it through the Chrome browser, but it is supported on PC and Mac. So
okay,
but yeah, it's cloud gaming, and I don't know if the internet is quite ready for cloud gaming quite yet. But and the early reviews are saying that it's not quite there yet. But
yeah, I'll have to look into it though. See what kind of something, what kind of something I can say about it.
You got a couple more super chat from Alex here.
So Alex says he used a Shadow PC service for a while. Check it out. Yeah. Are you talking about Shadow Play? That's kind of the same thing as the GeForce Now, which I've checked out. So Alan then coming back with the $5 super chat says, number one item that is missing from most Android phones that is available on the iPhone. Okay, so now we're getting into the Q&A stuff.
Oh, there we go.
Good question. Thank you, Alan, for the good question.
Oh, baby.
What number one thing missing from most Android phones that is present on?
This is easy, Jason. Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, it's iMessage. But
yeah, that is the answer. That is the answer.
Okay, if we take iMessage off the table, what is the next number one thing? What is the next number one thing?
Ooh, I mean, I could say iOS, but that's another easy one, so we can't say iOS.
Yeah.
Probably AirDrop, maybe.
Yeah. I think AirDrop is probably up there. Of course, AirDrop is like Apple specific, really.
Right.
Apple device to Apple device. Let's see. The one thing I will say, and this might not end up being. This might not end up being like, number one most important thing, but I will say that the app experience on a lot of apps is better on iOS than it is on Android.
Yes. Agreed.
It's just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's that everything's coded for iOS and then gets ported over to Android or what. But the experience of stuff like the Instagram app, the Twitter app, all that stuff is just a little bit better.
Well, what the big problem with Android still is to this day is fragmentation.
Yeah.
I mean, Google has gotten a lot better about making it easier for developers, but fragmentation is still a thing on Android, and they have to contend against that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, Preston says iOS is still ugly. I mean, it's
iOS.
it is what it is. It is what it is.
Exactly. It's iOS. That's what it is.
I also recorded my iPhone 11 Pro after like 2 months review yesterday.
Okay. Oh, you recorded it. Okay.
Yeah. So I recorded that yesterday, and I have some ideas. I'm calling it an unreview.
Unreview. Okay.
Yeah. Because spoiler alert, like if you've used an iPhone and you get a new iPhone, before too long, your new iPhone is just like your old iPhone, right? I mean, there are a few things about the new iPhones that are very specifically good and different about them.
Mm-hmm.
But take those couple of things away, and it's just like an updated iPhone.
Yeah,
which I think to me is like. It's a much better. There's something to be said for it, and I can understand why people gravitate toward iOS because all you have to do, basically within a couple of days, if even that long, you have all of your passwords in there again. You have everything rolling the way that it should. I mean, and it's the same phone.
If it ain't broke, don't break it.
Whereas like. Yes, I know a lot of people like Android for the ability to customize all their screens and everything else, and I know there are ways to like bring those customized screens from one device to the other. But I think the majority of people aren't really looking for that level of customization. I don't know.
I think the average consumer just wants it to work, which is why iPhone has been hugely successful over the past decade or so, because normally it just works.
Right.
And that's what people are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been watching people. So on Twitter today, our friend Michael Fisher, the Mr. Mobile, got himself one of those new
MacBook Pros. Yep.
And I remember when he got his most recent MacBook before this one, he was trying to transfer over, like, you know, from a backup or something, you know, time machine backup or something like that, and it wasn't working for him. It's the same exact thing. I just remember it specifically because I commented on that one and I commented on this one. I've done the transfer from the time machine backup in the past, and sometimes it works and sometimes it just like gets weird, you know.
And it's funny because our buddy Andrew Edwards had a similar issue with his brand new MacBook Pro earlier today too, so something really must be going on with that.
I end up, whenever I get a new Mac at this point, I just end up setting it up like a brand new machine. Like, you know, I download everything and run the installers and the whole deal. I just do it that way. On one level, I look at it as a way to, like, okay, so maybe I've downloaded a bunch of stuff and, you know, it's just been on the computer and all that other but now I get like a fresh computer that only has the programs that I'm using, that I use the most often. It's not all cluttered up with other stuff. So I kind of like it for that.
And some people say that if you're having issues with your old computer, then those issues don't transfer over to the new computer. So that's another reason why a lot of people like to do a clean install or clean start.
Yeah. I mean, some people go as far as to like reinstall the entire operating system.
Okay, yeah, that's overkill. We don't need to be doing all that.
You know, it's like, but if you're gonna reinstall the operating system, you might as well do it before the thing gets set up, because then, you know, you've got a clean version of it going. But I've never done that. I've never seen the need to do it. Alex has got another $10 super chat here saying 5G has him excited.
This isn't the year. Maybe next year, and I think next year even might be a little too early to be excited about 5G. But yeah, the technology is definitely something to be excited about. But I think it's still very early in the life cycle of 5G.
It's interesting to me. Well, I've gone on record saying nobody needs to worry about 5G for like the next 2+ years. Right?
I would agree.
But then I've seen some ads on TV that US Cellular is bringing 5G to Iowa in January of 2020.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. January 2020, 5G coming to Iowa.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I mean, that's a little.
I would love to see if they can keep that promise.
Yeah. I don't know. But 5G I think is going to change everything.
Yep, but it needs to be fully installed.
Yeah. I mean, the way that we get our internet service now and everything else, everything's going to flow through a 5G network. And, you know, so your telephone, your internet service, your everything is all going to be through that 5G network. And it's just going to be all the one thing, and it's going to be a lot faster than what we have now. But yeah, it's going to take a long time. I mean, yeah, Alex says it's about the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, low latency. I mean, all of these things, you know, within the next 10 years, I agree. Within the next 10 years, all of these things will come together because 5G can do it so effortlessly, and there's not a bottleneck.
Yep. So Verizon invited me out to a 5G apartment here in Chicago a month ago, and so I went out to check it out, and they had some 17 devices on the network, on this 5G network, all running at around 1.7 gigabits down per second. And I'm just like, OMG. No bottleneck, no nothing. 17 devices. Craziness. Crazy,
man. I'm very excited as well, but I'm also not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, because right now, as far as Chicago goes, 5G is only available in the downtown and some urban areas. So it doesn't even extend out past downtown yet. So I think it's going to take them a long time to build out the network.
Right.
Because they're competing 5G technologies right now, because you got the millimeter wave technology out there. Then you got low band and mid band 5G frequency. So they're trying to figure out how to intermingle all of that to make a fully fleshed out 5G network. And until they figure that out, it's going to take some time. So
yeah, that's interesting, because I mean, it seems like every time there's a new technology like this, there's all that there was beta versus VHS, there was AC versus DC way back in the day. It seems like there's always some kind of competition, and something has to lose out. But maybe there's a way that 5G can work together, like all these different competing versions of 5G. Alex says that some local ISPs are soon going to have 5 gigabits per second. Yeah, 5 gigabit internet would be something else. I've got gigabit internet right now, which really it translates to like 700 megabits per second, but still,
yeah.
it's pretty fast. And that has changed with faster internet speeds. Everything that I do in my life is way different than it was like 5 years ago. So my internet service got cut off for a couple of days, and I got put in a timeout corner by my ISP for doing something stupid, and so there were a couple of days where I didn't have any internet connection in my house, except for, of course, my cell phone, right? And it was unbelievable how crippled I was at that point. How I couldn't do anything. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't listen to music.
You know what? It's funny that you say that, because I haven't had my internet cut off in a while, but thinking about what you're just saying now, if my internet was cut off, like all my lights, my whole like connected licensing will be messed up.
The nice thing about the lights, at least with Philips Hue, is you have the hub. So the hub is what's really controlling everything, and it's connected to the to your Wi-Fi router, so it's like an internal network. And my lights still worked,
right?
But if I wanted to, like, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything at all. It was
and my and my thermostat is a Nest thermostat, so that will cause some havoc if that happened here. Oh Lord.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I have gigabit down, but I've got like 60 megabits per second up. 60 to 70 is what I get.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Yeah,
which is fine. It's fine by me. I since I went back to uploading in 1080p on YouTube,
lightning fast.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's like when I go to upload a video and then I start putting in all the metadata and stuff, it's
already ready,
processed.
It's already ready. Yep.
And I can, the only thing that the new YouTube uploader doesn't do well is tags, because it doesn't give you the option to like have your TubeBuddy or vidIQ suggested tags in that box.
I still have not used that yet.
I like it a lot better. I've found that I've had a lot fewer problems with the newer one, and it's faster than what the old one was. I mean, when people were having all that trouble with like, oh, my 4G won't, or my 4K stuff won't render, it's just sitting there, it's been sitting there for a day, whatever, then that's when I think sometime around then is when I started using it. And I've never had a problem. I've never had a video like get stuck and just not render. It's just, I like it a lot.
So let's talk about that real quick, because you said you used to upload in 4K, but now you're back to uploading in 1080p. So why is that?
It's just, I don't know. There's no real rhyme or reason for it.
Oh, I can give you one. Faster workflow.
Well, yeah, there is that. Part of it too is like the way that I'm recording my videos right now is I'm recording straight from the camera through OBS into the computer instead of going into an SD card and then having to transfer it and all that stuff.
Ooh.
So I don't think OBS can do 4K. Now I could edit in 4K a 1080p file. That's what I was doing before. I've tried 4K filming sometimes, but I've found that putting 1080p video in a 4K timeline gives you a little bit crisper video. But I haven't been doing it because I was having all kinds of trouble. There was a while there where my camera settings got all whacked out, and like my upload settings or my timeline video edit settings were all whacked out. And so I reset my camera and I went back to like what I knew was a really solid setup for encoding video.
Gotcha.
And so it's 1080p 60, and that's just what I'm rolling with. Some people can do the 24 frames, and it looks all like, I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that my camera was whacked out, but 24 frames just look too soft to me for these kinds of videos, for tech videos.
Now, it's funny that you said that because all my videos are usually done in 24 frames per second. Looks okay to me, but I'm not no big camera head, so I wouldn't know anyway.
Yeah. I just wanted to. I went back to the beginning. Well, not the beginning.
Now, I will tell you what happened to me the other day. So, I did my first actual regular video using this Shure SM7B.
Yep.
So when I went to go put the audio and the video into Final Cut Pro, and I synced them together like you do in Final Cut Pro.
Right.
When I went to start playing back the video, it was only playing out of one side. It wasn't stereo. It was mono. I'm like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. So I had to Google how to change it to dual mono, but all the tutorial, like everything that I was finding, wasn't telling me how to do it the correct way. So I ended up having to, because I was trying to work with the synchronized clip instead of working with the individual audio file. So once I figured out that I had to work with the individual audio file, then I was able to go ahead and put it into dual mono to get sound out of both speakers. Because I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I have a feeling I know what happened. So it's possible that you recorded a stereo file, right? But you've only got one input. So whenever you have a stereo file, like it'll split it left and right. So you'll end up with like your SM7B in the left side until you dump it down to mono again. So and Final Cut doesn't make that easy to do or easy to understand that that's what's going on. But when you record next, make sure that you're not recording a stereo file. Make sure that you're recording a mono signal so that it doesn't split like that. That's the key. That's the key right there. Because I had that problem too with when I first started out and I was using iMovie. I had that problem all the time, and I forget what I was using to record it, but it was I had to go into Logic and create an MP3 file of mono. Like I don't know, just a pain in the rear end.
Yeah,
to be honest. So, but yeah, it takes some time to get used to that stuff. I also used to sync everything by eyeball.
I used to do that too. Yeah.
Instead of allowing the software to do it for me.
Much better to let the software do it.
Yeah. I kind of got, over the years, I've gotten good enough at it that it didn't really take me very much time. So I just kind of like, well, I know I can do it this way, but yeah, creating that file is better. Alex wants to know, am I going to review the OnePlus 7T for T-Mobile 5G? I don't know, honestly. Like, I'm curious about that phone, but I don't know if I'm curious enough about it to go get one. Have you gotten one, Viper?
No, I don't have any plans of getting another OnePlus device.
Yeah, I just, I know a lot of people really like the OnePlus 7 Pro this year. I did, and it was one of those things where, like we've talked about before, I didn't dislike it. It just was kind of the butt phone.
This take me back to the night I did my Viper Awards and you were in the live stream and I named the OnePlus 7 Pro my worst phone of the year. And Jason was like, yes, the butt phone.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's not a bad device, but my biggest issue with the OnePlus 7 Pro is that the honeymoon phase between me and it ended way too quickly, man. I was bored of it after like 3 weeks. I was bored. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Alex says that some areas are getting 5G for the OnePlus 7T on December 6th. I don't think that that's going to happen in my area, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I have low expectations for anything technology related in Iowa.
Yeah, it seems like with 5G they're trying to attack all the urban areas first before they roll out to the rural areas.
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. Iowa City is like, one of the more populated areas in Iowa, which, Iowa's got 4 million people, I think. So it's not like we're a huge state or anything, or maybe it's 8 million. Anyway, Iowa's not a huge state. And it is a college town. There's a major university here. So it's possible, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. You guys remember when Genosis asked, you guys remember when Viper rented a hotel room for the weekend?
What?
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either. That's new to me. So, okay, let's get back. Somebody throw some questions.
Yes, you all. This is a Q&A podcast, which means we are answering your questions.
So go ahead and throw them out there. In the meantime, I'm trying to get excited about the holiday season this year, Viper. I'm trying to get excited about the holiday season.
So what is holding you back, sir?
I am an old curmudgeon.
Oh.
It's like I don't know. My daughter is old enough now that like there's no Santa Claus, all that kind of stuff. So and once you go through that whole thing where your kid, you go through all that effort to do the Santa Claus thing for your kids and it lasts like years and years and years. Eventually, like when it's over, you're just like, okay, now Christmas can just be like a day.
I don't know, man. Your studio behind you look pretty festive.
Well, I like to keep things festive. That much is true. So Alex asks, favorite food. My favorite food is pizza.
Yes, good answer.
Fish or steak would always be steak. And no, kale is not a thing for me.
So you're a steak guy. I'll take the fish.
All-time favorite album. 504 with the big question. All-time favorite album. Oh man. Let me think about that.
We got to come back to that one.
Yeah, because I could answer that in a couple of different ways. I could answer it in like terms in terms of like influence, or I could answer it in terms of like what I listen to the most, or I could answer, so there's a lot of different ways that I could answer that question.
Okay, I got a question for you, and I think I might have asked you this before, but I can't remember if I have or not. But out of all the smartphones that you've used this year, what is your 2019 smartphone of the year, Mr. Painfully Honest Tech?
It's gonna have to be the iPhone 11 Pro. Because that's the phone that I have kept in my pocket now since it came out, pretty much. I used the Pixel for a few days, and I've used a couple of phones here and there. But the iPhone has just been, it's easy to use. It's easy. And so I've just been kind of going with the flow when it comes to that. And the 11 Pro, I'm on day 2 of battery here. I'm at 22% on day 2 of like not charging it. So it's a solid performer, as they say.
Oh, yes, it is. I have mine.
However, like the LG V50,
that's your baby.
It's still there.
That's your baby.
Still there. Like if the iPhone didn't exist, if Apple, like suddenly we woke up tomorrow and there was no Apple, I would be perfectly content with the LG V50.
You have been riding that one since it's been out. So yeah.
it's a really good phone, and LG makes really good phones. They've had problems in the past, but those things haven't really been the case in recent years. So I don't know, but I think the ship has sailed for LG already. I don't think
it's been sailed. It sailed a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to buy LG phones. Like somebody asked about the LG G8X, which is that's the one that's going to have like the
dual screen,
screen case thing.
Yep.
I'd love to try that out. I don't know if it's going to I haven't studied whether or not it's going to make it to whatever US carrier or anything like that, but I mean, in my estimation, that is the best way to have dual screens in the current climate. Dual screens, I don't know, man. I guess there was one thing that happened between last podcast and this podcast, and that was the Motorola Razr launch.
That did happen, yes.
That did happen.
Well, actually, that's not even launched yet. It's not launching until 2020.
Unveiling or whatever, the event to
yes.
And that phone, on one hand, like my initial reaction to that phone when I heard they were going to make it was like, oh, that's going to be cool. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, I mean, how cool is it really?
I think me and you are on the same page when it comes to this Motorola Razr, man. That phone doesn't do anything spectacular besides fold. Like, what is the allure to that phone, really?
Right.
Besides nostalgia. Once you get past the nostalgia and the fact that it folds, it does nothing new.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's a $1,500 mid-tier phone.
Yeah, that price is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to charge that kind of money, you should at least put like the 800 series Snapdragon chip in there. You know, I mean, I'm sure battery life will be better with the chip that they're putting in there, and there's probably not a huge battery in that phone, so I guess that makes sense. But yeah,
if you're going to charge that type of money, we should get the original Razr for free with the phone with the new one.
I know. It's like buy one get one free. You know, just little pink Razr for like. Man, I hated that phone. I hated that phone so bad.
I thought a video that you made about it.
Yeah, it was, and it's funny. Like I made the video where I basically said it was stupid, and and everybody was, because I complained that like the Razr was the phone of the people that like of just like people who cared too much about like fashion and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it was the iPhone of its day, definitely.
And that's what people said in the comments of the video. We're like, oh, but you could say the same thing. You could take out Razr and put in an iPhone and it would be exactly the same. And I guess that's true. I guess that's true. But the iPhone is the way we deal with phones, the way that phones exist in our lives right in this day and age compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's way different. So I don't, everybody's got a smartphone, but not everybody had a Razr, and Razrs were definitely, at least in the cosmetics department, a big step up from everything else that was out there at the time.
See, that's the difference between the Razr and the iPhone right there. The Razr was form, but not much function. The iPhone is both form and function, or it was form and function when it first came out.
Right.
And that is the difference.
I think you could make the argument that like the first iPhone, you could say that it was like the Razr in that it was, unique and expensive and very exclusive. So if you had the first iPhone, and maybe the first few iPhones, really, because it was on AT&T only, and they were pretty expensive compared to other smartphones. And so maybe you can make that argument then, but I don't think iPhones these days would be the same thing as like a Razr was in 2005. Because I mean, you could make the argument that the Razr of 2019 is the same thing as the Razr of 2005.
Just about, yeah.
In that, like, if you're going to spend that kind of money, then you're definitely going for something other than just like you're looking for a little bit of cachet, right? I mean, the Galaxy Fold has to give people a little bit of a stiffy whenever they're carrying it around.
I mean, you know,
right?
our good friend, you know what our good friend Floss says, and all about the floss factor, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what is going on in the discussion here?
Oh, somebody asked if either me or you would be afraid to show our very first videos, and my very first video is still out there. So if you all want to go watch it, it's out there for you.
I can't remember. I've got like really early videos still out there, but I can't remember if like my first review is still up. But yeah, I mean it's terrible.
Do you remember what your first video was about?
My first review video was definitely a review of a gaming headset.
My first video was me talking about the iPhone 10.
Yeah, that was my first review, and I know I recorded it using the built-in camera on a iMac. So there was that.
Hey, I recorded mine on an iPad.
and I had no clue as to like any kind of lighting or anything like that.
Oh my God. Watching my first video was bad. I was like completely like monotone and boring, and oh my God, who the hell was that?
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing about it. The thing that I remember the most is that doing that, like being on camera, like I'd performed enough in front of people that I kind of it wasn't necessarily weird to me, but what was weird was just knowing that like this camera is capturing every movement that you make, and it's, people are going to sit there and look at it in a different way than like they would look at a live show or something like that. It just felt really weird. And it felt really weird for a long time. I remember I would try to do videos where I would just talk extemporaneously. I wouldn't have really a script or anything. I'd just talk. And I remember just getting stuck a lot. And so now I do a little bit of both, but I still like the feeling of having that script.
Yeah, see, this is where me and you differ, because I will not do no scripted video. I can't do that.
Yeah,
not my thing. But you do it. You are brilliant, because I wouldn't have never known that you did scripted videos unless you told me.
Well, that's good.
That's how it should be. That's very good. That's exquisite. That's excellent.
Yeah, I need to get, so where this is my teleprompter. It's a little piece of plastic with a piece of glass in it that just like slips down on top of the lens itself. It has like a little adapter where you would screw in an ND filter or something. You screw this adapter on, and the problem is, now that I'm using the 16 millimeter lens, is the lens is wide enough that the edges of the teleprompter get caught in the frame.
Oh, right.
So I always punch in a little bit to get rid of most of it. But
all right, so there's a question out here that I have no idea what this means. Where is it?
Oh, yeah, Larry's
yeah,
about Mandela effect.
What is that?
If I'm remembering correctly, the Mandela effect is when you remember something as something else, and like Berenstain Bears is an example that. So let me look it up real quick.
Okay, I'm still lost.
It's when it's like supposedly proof of alternate realities.
Oh, okay.
Right? So yeah, it's so here's Forrest Gump. Do you remember Forrest Gump saying life was like a box of chocolates, or life is like a box of chocolates? The answer in this reality is A, life was, but I remember it as is.
Yeah, I could have sworn he said is. Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's the Mandela effect. And yes, I guess I just answered your question, Larry. I have been Mandela affected, at least in the case of Forrest Gump.
Alrighty then. Okay, that's
Berenstain
some next
Bears.
level stuff.
Yeah, Berenstain Bears is like, is it Berenstain, Stanin, or
Wait,
Berenstein,
how
Stein?
how is the Ford logo? How what? What do you mean the Ford logo? How does that work? What's wrong with the Ford logo?
Wait, I don't know about the Ford logo.
Like what else would you remember the Ford logo as? I'm really lost. Oh my god, we're going into YouTube Inception here.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah, another one is Nelson Mandela died in prison. So
Weird.
red and green color confusion.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's there I guess it's just false memories.
Gotcha.
Um,
Or was it
it's
fake news? Fake.
well, I mean, it's weird enough that there, like, when you read some of it, you're like, oh.
Mhm.
So Jif, not Jiffy, like the peanut butter.
Right. The
Uh,
chip. Yep.
right. And but people swear that it was Jiffy at some point, and that makes sense to me. I wonder if there's just some sort of like subconscious power of suggestion.
Actually, now that you mention it, I think I was affected by some of this, or I have been, because for the longest time I never knew that the word practice had two C's in it. I always thought it was just the one C at the end. I never could remember that the word practice had the C in it at the beginning.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I
Sex and the City as opposed to Sex in the City.
yeah.
I always thought it was Sex in the City.
Man, the way the mind works is trippy.
Yeah.
So Alex wants to know what's your thoughts about augmented human tech? It's coming, dude. It's coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't doubt it. I mean, well, I mean, we already have prosthetics that are taking, they're taking cues from the nerves of what's left of the appendage and that kind of thing. So it's only a matter of time before those things get connected, tissue to device, right?
Yep.
So that's coming, and I think that we will have things like,
I mean, I'm wearing something on my wrist right now here, the Apple Watch. That's an example of augmenting human tech. It measures your heart rate and things like that. So yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm a big fan of William Gibson. He wrote a bunch of what were called cyberpunk novels, Neuromancer and Mona Lisa Overdrive and Count Zero. The thing that I really liked in one of those books, and maybe it was in all of them, is that the characters had implants in their ocular bones instead of headphones. So they had basically like a hard drive in their head. It was basically like they had an iPod in their head, and they could like access the music with their brain and tell it to play, and then it would play over their like their ear bones.
And think about the different headphones that are like right now, like the Sony WF or the Sony WH. Where they have adaptive sound controls which adjust to your environment. So
Right.
there you go.
Yeah.
So when Larry was talking about the Ford logo, there's a curly part of the F that you don't really know is there unless you're looking for it. You see this actually shows up. Of course, the fucking don't work. Okay, never mind. But yeah, if you look at the Ford logo, at the very end of the tip of the line that crosses into the F, there's a curl at the end. And unless you're looking for that curl, you will not know it's there. So that is weird. Yeah, very weird. The human brain is crazy.
It is. It's like I'm just kind of quickly scrolling through this one right here. Like, I'll share my screen and take a look at some of these.
Screen share.
So Sinbad never played a genie. Yeah, Sinbad was
Wait. wasn't he the genie in the Aladdin cartoon or movie?
No, like
So who played the genie in the Aladdin cartoon movie then?
Shazam, like the Shazam movie. I don't know. I remember Sinbad playing a genie. I do, but
I do too. What?
But I guess it.
Oh no, that was Robin Williams. What am I'm losing my mind.
I guess it didn't happen. I guess it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Smokey. Okay,
Smokey Bear.
Smokey Bear. It's always been Smokey the Bear in my head.
Yeah.
So it's never been that in reality.
Interesting.
That's bizarre. So the tank guy, I don't remember him being run over.
Okay, I'm not aware of this situation.
So this is Tiananmen Square in 1989 when the Chinese, there was some kind of protest or something going on, and the guy stood in front of the Chinese tanks and wouldn't move. So there's that. Neil Armstrong's death. I remember that he died. Okay, so I mean, maybe not all of these things, but
right.
Oh, maybe the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion. I remember watching that live, so I don't know. That's some weird shit.
I agree. Yes, definite weird stuff going on. All right, Jason, we got to talk about Apple and monopolies and things. So the EU is looking into Apple for possibly stifling competition with Apple Pay, Jason. Apple Pay
as a monopoly,
because Apple won't let other developers into the or other companies into the secure enclave on the iPhone. The EU has been saying that people have been coming to them with concerns about Apple Pay being as big as it is, and Apple not allowing other companies into the secure enclave. So they're filing antitrust grievances against Apple for that.
So I guess I still don't quite understand. Like what companies want in?
They didn't really name companies in particular, but apparently there have been concerns brought to the EU about Apple Pay being so big and nobody else having access to the iPhone secure enclave for Apple Pay, and they're accusing Apple of antitrust practices because of this. And I'm just like, are you kidding me right now?
Apple doesn't make any money on Apple Pay, do they? I mean, well, they have to make money.
I think they make like 15% on the dollar or something like that. 15 cent on the dollar or something like that for every transaction. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, that's the thing though. I guess the Apple Card starts to make it a little bit more murky, but most people who are connected to Apple Pay are connected through their bank, right?
Right.
So it's like Apple Pay is just a conduit that they use. So I don't know how.
Not even talking about the fact that Android Pay and Samsung Pay both exist right next to Apple Pay.
Right.
So it can't really be antitrust when Android Pay and Samsung Pay both exist in the same universe. This is foolishness.
Yeah, I mean, if Apple was somehow keeping every other somebody from, if like Samsung and Google and other places could not do mobile payments because Apple was somehow keeping them from being able to do it, that could be a monopoly.
Correct. But that's not what's happening here.
Yeah, no.
Like Alice said, the EU want Apple to open the iPhone's NFC capabilities. Why? Why should they do that? Why should they have to do that?
Yeah, I mean that was one of the reasons why Apple didn't use NFC for the longest time because of how insecure it was in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So when Apple brought out Apple Pay and they started using NFC for that specifically, yeah, I don't know. That's bizarre. That's bizarre because I mean, again, it's sort of the same thing as like the App Store being a monopoly.
Exactly, and it's not exactly.
It can't. Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't get any apps anywhere other than the App Store, and you could only get apps for the iPhone, and everybody else was left out in the cold somehow.
Not to mention there's millions of apps in the Apple App Store not not made by Apple. So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I mean, I guess if the EU wants Apple to open up its NFC bag of tricks, that's one thing, but that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, honestly. I don't know. I don't know.
And not to mention it puts every Apple device owner in jeopardy if they do that. So yeah,
Right.
that's not a good look.
Yeah. I saw up here, Brian Diaz says that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in a parallel universe.
Oh Lord,
Well-
here we go.
Well, I just saw today that some guards are being brought up on charges for something in that whole deal. So who knows?
There are conspiracy theories going around there saying that he did not kill himself at all. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's been going. I mean, I don't know. That there is like a whole thing. So I'm big into true crime, and I watched this true crime thing about the what was it? The 4 kids getting murdered in Detroit in the late 70s or in the 70s, yeah.
Okay.
And it being tied to like a child pornography ring and all this other stuff. Just really bizarre. Really bizarre. The US government wants Tony Stark's suits. I don't understand what that means, Genosis.
Oh, I think he's trying to tie that into the Apple, the EU wanting Apple to open up NFC and all that.
Oh yeah, I got
an analogy, yeah.
I guess that yeah, I can see that. But hey, you know.
Oh, Michael Pepper says that the guards were sleeping on the job and lied on forms about checking up on Epstein. Oh, okay.
Oh, so we'll see.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I guess so.
So other questions. What else do we want to talk about?
Let's see what else is going on. So Apple Monster was asking me about the event Apple is holding in December, and I was just telling him it's just an award ceremony for app developers. That's pretty much it. We are not expecting any new hardware announcements at this event. So I wouldn't get my hopes up about anything big happening, but Apple has been known to do things, so who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I don't know if it's going to be shown or streamed anywhere. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like they do stream most stuff these days.
Yeah, and if you're gonna hold an event or an award ceremony, I mean, if you want it to be more public, it would make sense for them to stream it. I don't know how much interest that would garner, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. It's a good question.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
Is there a piece of tech that you haven't been able to get this year that you would like to get?
Piece of tech that I haven't been able to get that I want to get. I'm sure there is. Right now, I'll say I can say the new MacBook Pro.
Yes, I can say that too. So speaking of MacBook Pros and things, Jason, I just grabbed a Bridge keyboard from my iPad Pro.
Yeah.
And I am loving this thing. This thing's amazing, dude.
Yeah. I had one of those for a while too for one of my iPads, and I really liked it. They're the real deal for sure.
They are.
Yeah. So, Mac Pro release. You know what? That December event might be also the official release of the Mac Pro.
Could be.
Because remember when the iMac Pro was released, it was released in December.
It was.
It wasn't an event or anything. They'd already announced the product, but they released it officially in December. So they could just like, tack that on to their whole award ceremony thing that they're doing. But I can't get excited about the Mac Pro. I can't.
Because it's way too much damn money.
It's too damn expensive.
As Flaw can say, the price is too goddamn high.
It is. It is, man.
Especially when you consider they're charging $6,000 for that display and another additional $1,000 for the stand. You get
like maybe I'll just buy the stand.
That's right. Floss on with the stand.
So I'll just buy the stand and put it in the background of my videos.
Exactly. It's like, yo, I don't have AirPods Pro. I got the box. I got the box
Yeah.
right here.
It's like, yeah, I just like Drew from Talos of Tech, he tapes all those boxes to his wall. Maybe I'll just get the stand and I'll like hang it like a moped.
Yes, do it.
Oh man, but that would be $1,000 wasted.
Mm-hmm.
That would be completely wasting $1,000.
But you'll be able to floss on them though.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's funny how there are certain people in our techosphere who are just bending themselves over with all this new Apple stuff. I mean, it's like, wow, I didn't know you could bend yourself backwards in that. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. People are getting really excited, and sure, like the Mac Pro, maybe it's going to be a super exciting thing. It's a great computer.
I don't know a lot about the Mac Pro, but this 16-inch MacBook Pro seems to be a legitimate update and legitimately addressing concerns that we've had about MacBooks over the past 3 or 4 years. So the 16-inch MacBook Pro is definitely legit, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's the graphics. If you're gonna pay for 8 gigabytes of DDR6 RAM, then that's a big deal. If you're gonna pay for, if you want a terabyte worth of storage, and that's the one thing that got me is they've now like gone from 256 and 512 on the two MacBook Pro like sort of stock models to 512 and a terabyte.
Yep.
And that's basically like saving $200. If you buy the base model at $2,400, you're saving almost like $400.
Yeah, they are definitely doing big things with the storage. However, if you want to upgrade the RAM, though, you're talking about $400 a pop to go from 16 to 32, and another $400 to go from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM. Whoo!
I just think that you really like. I don't know that there are very many people who need more than 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
In terms of like, if we're talking about doing video stuff or something like that, I mean, if you're a professional video producer, you're doing stuff for feature films and all that kind of stuff. But I think for the average everyday person, 16 gigabytes is fine.
More than enough, yeah.
I mean, I've got 64 in my desktop PC.
But I mean, I got 8 in this stupid MacBook Pro I have in front of me here. So
yeah, it's like, but I know that I only got the 64 because I got a 32 kit, and then they had the 32 kit on sale at Best Buy again. So I was like, okay, I'll just get another one.
Do it.
So that like all the slots are filled up with RGB.
Nice.
But that's the thing. It's I don't think that people need 32. I mean, I guess, if you just want the peace of mind, but I don't think people are.
No, the average consumer does not need 32 gigs of RAM. If you're a video person, then maybe, but the average person does not need 32 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it either. So there are some things about the 16-inch MacBook Pro that I think are really great. I like the bigger screen. I was at Best Buy. I listened to the speakers. The speakers are legit. They sound a lot better. And I'm still not sold on the microphone. Jonathan Morrison, of course, he did that video where he used the microphone and recorded the voiceover in the interview and stuff like that. But when Marquez did his video and he just A/B'd back and forth between the 15-inch and the 16-inch, the 16-inch didn't sound all that great.
No, I don't really care about the microphones on the computer too much, but what I do take onus with is that lame camera, that webcam they keep putting in these MacBook Pros. Why do we not have a 1080p camera on these MacBook Pros, especially for how much they cost? Are you kidding me, Apple? What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like maybe they bought like 6 billion 720p cameras like sometime 10 years ago.
Must have, because this is
And
ridiculous.
they're just like they still have them they just still have them, so they're going to still use them.
Why are you doing this to us? Why?
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the iMac Pro has a 1080p camera, and it's actually a pretty good camera.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else is 720p. It doesn't make any sense. Why upgrade the microphone?
Really?
I just get offended when they call things like studio grade microphone. It's like, come on. I mean,
no, listen, man.
Probably do something that sounds pretty good with it, but
no,
I don't want anybody to get the idea that they can like not buy a microphone.
No, when you talk about studio grade microphones, I am using a studio grade microphone. Jason is using a studio grade microphone.
Right.
The microphones on a MacBook aren't studio grade. Let's not kid ourselves here. Stop it.
No. I mean, I was impressed with what Jonathan Morrison was able to do with stuff. And I asked him like what he did in post, and he said he just boosted it like to -6 dB. I don't know, man. I'm not going to say that he's not telling the truth, but it just compared to what the samples of other people had, it's just I don't know. So you've got that upgrade, but then you don't have the upgrade to the camera, right?
Right.
You've got the keyboard upgrade, which is a big deal to a lot of people, and I get it. And the keyboard is nice. I played around with it at Best Buy, and yes, Alex, most of the people at Best Buy do know me by my first name.
Of course.
So I played around with it. A very nice keyboard, but I haven't had any problems with the butterfly keyboards that I've used.
Yeah,
and I actually like typing on them.
Okay.
I never learned to type correctly. Like I never took a typing class. I never learned to touch type. And so I just kind of taught myself, and it's sort of like this claw mechanism that I have. And I find with the low travel keyboards, I'm able to type just a lot faster than I am with like, mechanical keyboards that are much higher.
Now I have a 2017 MacBook Pro, so I have the butterfly keyboard, and typing on it is pretty cool. I like it too, but it's that thing where if a lot of people don't like it, if it causes an issue for a majority of the people, then you need to do something about it. So I'm glad to see that Apple did something about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Listening to their customers is a nice thing.
Yeah.
And and Jeff, I'm not saying I don't believe Jonathan. It's just one of those things where I'm kind of like the fact that his examples were so much better than everybody else's. Like, I don't know.
Come on, El Jefe. You know who you talking to. We talking about Jason here, man. He's the audiophile of audiophiles, man. If it ain't high grade, Jason gonna question it. Come on now.
Well, so I would just like to know, like, is it that the room that they were in was treated in such a way? Because like all these things could affect the way that the mic sounds, but it was just so much better than everything else that it makes me scratch my head. He doesn't have any reason to try and deceive us. You're right, unless Apple's paying him, but
and they don't pay anybody.
But he's been getting some access.
He's not the only one though. All of them have been getting access lately.
Yeah.
Apple has seemingly changed their marketing strategies over the past 2 or 3 years that relates to letting YouTubers in more.
Yeah,
and not just tech YouTubers, they're letting other YouTubers in too. So
yeah. G-Farb, thank you for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate it. Let's see.
I had a question for you and I completely forgot. Damn it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the new 16-inch MacBook Pro is enough of. This is what they did with the mid 2019 upgrade of the MacBook Pro back in May. They made it enough of a difference that you could justify the upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not jumping from the 2015 MacBook Pro to the 2016, like total redesign kind of thing.
No. But I mean, everything that they did on the inside. They even finally, it seemed like they figured out the thermal cooling of the MacBook Pro this time around. So
yeah. Well, although my first 2019 MacBook Pro, the fans blew like crazy, and the one that I've had now for a while doesn't. So I sometimes it might just be there are factors as well, like one get the thermal paste, did the thermal paste like even out smoothly on one versus the other? So is one getting hotter than the other because the thermal paste isn't covering the entire CPU or whatever?
Right.
There's like a ton of different things that could be happening other than just the cooling system itself, that would make one computer run hotter than the other. But I still think that in May of next year, they are going to release this next iteration of the MacBook Pro. At least the one with the micro LED screen. I don't know if it'll be a new form factor or anything like that, but I think the real changes are going to come in May of next year.
Seems like there are going to be a lot of like form factor changes for Apple next year, including iPhone. So it's going to be 2020 is shaping up to be a very, very big year for Apple.
It's going to be interesting.
It is.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, they've done a lot this year to sort of pull themselves out of the fire.
Translation, they've done a lot this year to finally listen to customer concerns. Thank you, Apple. Thank you.
Yeah. It's I mean, think about like this time last year, I was like, almost all of last year, I was continuously pissed off at Apple. Right? I was just continuously mad at Apple all last year.
Oh, we remember.
and like this year, they haven't made me mad that way. They've actually like turned around and like you say, starting to do things in a way that is not hostile to the consumer.
Whoa, Alex, with the next level questions out here, man.
What do you envision our world would be like in 2119 in terms of socioeconomic and technological perspective?
In 100 years, wow.
So, I think that, well, if there are still human beings,
they're still human beings,
then I think that it's going to be some definite changes will have had to have happened.
The smartphone will be gone.
The smartphone will be gone. I think that, like, what it will be communicating with ourselves, with other people, with the things in our homes and around us. That'll all be sort of like hardwired into what we're doing. In terms of socioeconomics, I mean, can't continue to do what we've been doing. Basically just use in terms of human and other environmental goods and services.
I also believe that privacy will continue to be an illusion even 100 years from now.
Yeah, but I don't think it will matter. I mean, the version of 100 years from now that I would be interested in is the version of 100 years from now where like we've made great strides toward like knocking down a lot of these barriers that sort of keep us separated, and almost all of those are socioeconomic.
Yeah. Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about Audible?
Oh, Audible, our sponsor for the podcast. Yeah. Did you know, Viper, that Audible has, like, I don't even know how many audiobooks they have.
Way too many.
Like I said, if you go through the link down in the description of this video or podcast, however you're listening to it, if you go down there and you hit that link, you get a free book, free Audible originals, and your first month free. But man, I've been a 3-book per month Audible subscriber for at least 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't always listen to all 3 books, but I've been a 3-book subscriber for a long, long time. And, the neuroplasticity of the mind is what's important. You got to keep your brain moving. You got to keep the juices flowing.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing does that better than a book. So
indeed. Now, funny story, I have never listened to a full audiobook ever.
You should check it out, man. It's good stuff.
I hear.
I mean, especially how long is your commute to work during the day?
Usually an hour each way.
So, I mean, think about it. You get yourself a 10-hour audiobook, and in a week, you've listened to a book, right?
True enough.
And you've consumed something it's like you've eaten your Wheaties.
Yeah, right.
You've
Yeah.
eaten you're just like passively eating your Wheaties.
Boom.
By listening to an audiobook. See, you should go, Viper, through that link, get yourself one audiobook, and then use your AirPods Pro and listen to that one audiobook and see if you don't get hooked. You know, you could get Gary V's Crushing It.
No, I actually read that book actually.
Yeah, I listened to it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So does he narrate the book or who narrates it?
He narrates parts of it, but then the people who wrote the
nice.
So the people who wrote the essays, they narrate their own parts. Preston,
nice.
Welcome to the Wizard Squad. Thank you so much for joining us. It's going to be good times. It's going to be good times. I really appreciate it.
Alex, dude, capitalism is not going away, bro. It's not going away.
Well, I think eventually it will, only because the whole thing the wheels will fall off. But
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't need to go there.
We don't need to go there. Not at all.
Yeah, because it's politics is just never a good thing. Never a good thing.
I don't really like to talk about politics, especially in a tech discussion, but it's getting harder and harder to separate them, apparently.
Well, now, I mean, maybe that's the last thing we talk a little bit about. I'm going to try and keep the podcast to around 90 minutes tonight so that, you know, the audio version won't be totally overwhelming to people because I'm getting this thing done.
All right.
Yeah. But the whole COPPA Child Protection Act, Children Online Privacy Protection Act, is that what it stands for? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Which is like scary especially for people who make content on the YouTube that is geared toward young people. Because I guess it's illegal to collect data.
Yeah, apparently YouTube got fined a while ago for the way they collect data on kids and things like that. So now they are really cracking down. So here's the thing that really gets me about this whole situation. Roberto Blake, our good friend Roberto Blake, put out a tweet earlier today about how creators can be fined some $42,000 per video,
right,
if the video is labeled incorrectly. Now, when I say labeled incorrectly, I mean if you mark your video as not made for kids, but somehow the FTC deems that the video is made for kids, they can fine you $40,000 per video. That is bananas.
But see, that's the thing. I mean, that's the place where, you know, we were kind of talking about this a little bit before, where now we've got the outside world and the internet world are sort of coming together, and something's going to have to happen, right? Now, I don't think that it will ever go as far as the FTC fining somebody $42,000 because kids happen to watch their video, or they happen to think that kids might watch their video, because that's too far to one extreme. I think that what we're trying to find is like some kind of balance or middle ground, right?
I would hope so, yeah.
So I don't think the FTC is in the business. I don't think the FTC is in the business of trying to destroy people's lives. And one $42,000 fine to anybody who's a creator on YouTube would be a death sentence,
a life changer. Yeah, for sure.
So I see this as an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, this is just one more battle that we have to get into.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as much as it might be difficult, as much as it might be kind of frightening or whatever, if YouTube wasn't a vital sort of piece of our culture, and the influence of YouTube wasn't growing, then the FTC wouldn't care.
Exactly.
So on some levels you can say like, well, this is a product of YouTube's success, is that now we have to go through these different things. And I mean, it's inevitable that kind of stuff is. When you think about it, think about all the stuff, like the creepy stuff that happened with kids, with kid focused channels, where like, people were watching the videos for reasons they weren't intended for. I mean, that's the kind of thing, like, you don't set out to make a video, for kids to watch thinking that, oh, I better not do this because somebody might use it for this reason, right?
Right.
But yet that happened
all the time.
So now it's a real thing that we have to think about, and so it changes the way that we have to deal with the world. It will. I mean, for a lot of people, I was watching a Lego channel, the person who does like a ton of Legos, Lego related videos, and basically like was going to lose all their income. So I've seen a lot of "this is my last video" on YouTube videos over the past couple of days.
Oh, I bet. And every time something like this happens, creators always overreact. Some of these people are just completely overreacting. Like, y'all need to just do some research before you make these rash decisions, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and Genosis, there's no insurance or anything like that, because basically YouTube creators are independent contractors for YouTube.
Yep.
We make videos that we upload to their service. They share revenue with us, but we don't have a business relationship with them, and so they don't have any like stake in protecting us. So if we were going to protect ourselves with some kind of insurance or something like that, it would have to come from the creator side, not from the YouTube side. And I just don't see that happening unless YouTube creators decide to unionize. So
that might have to be a something that we consider going forward here, because
yeah,
like there are a lot of things happening that are not very creator friendly.
Yeah, but these kinds of things have happened time and time again throughout history, and people still create stuff.
Oh, of course, creating is not going anywhere.
So I where there's a will, there's a way.
All the time.
What other cliches can I come up with? But
any of them.
The important thing is, like, yeah, will it really impact some people in an incredibly detrimental way? Yes. Is YouTube gonna turn into a smoking crater on January 1st?
No, not at all.
So it's just, but it's going to be another one of those things that we have to deal with, that we have to kind of work our way around.
I'm just really curious about how the algorithm is going to change come Jan 1, because we know even over the past year or so, the algorithm has changed probably more than once, and we have seen our views affected by the algorithm changes. So I'm just curious what type of changes will occur to the algorithm come January 1st, because obviously there's going to be some algorithmic changes moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think the algorithm has been changing like for the second half of this year. The algorithm has been changing pretty significantly in different ways, and the effects of that have been, I've seen the effects of that on my views. I know other people have. I think that we're going to see some different kinds of things happening when January 1st comes around. What I hope is that somehow YouTube is able to like get it turned so that everybody's still on kind of an equal playing field. The playing field doesn't feel entirely equal or balanced right now. So,
well, I don't know if the playing field has ever been balanced, because you have the top 1% who are in the Google preferred ad program, who probably get the majority of the views on the platform, and then you have everybody else fighting for the scraps at the bottom. So,
yeah, and then you got people, in the medium size range, where it's like you got more access to scraps.
I mean,
it's really a weird situation.
It is. I can only speak for myself personally, but I've been on this platform almost 2 years, and I still don't have a video that's gotten over 20,000 views. So
I can't remember how long it took me to get to that point with my videos, but it's weird. Like, so if you guys don't watch Matt D'Avella, you should. And today Matt D'Avella came out with a video where he talks about what he calls the 3-year rule. And I've heard this in a lot of expressed in a lot of different ways. So he was talking to some people who decided to start a podcast, and everybody was like, "Oh, podcasting is totally overwhelmed, and you're never going to be successful with a podcast in 2018." And the whole point that they were going for is that, well, yes, we're not going to be a successful podcast in 2018, but we have a 5-year plan where we're going to be doing this podcast, and in 5 years, where are we going to be? So Matt D'Avella expresses it as like a 3-year plan. You dedicate yourself to a plan where you're going to say, I'm going to do this for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, assess where I've gotten to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And compare and contrast that to where I started and what the curve seems to be. I've heard it expressed like, there's a saying about Nashville in terms of music, that Nashville is a 5-year town. Like, basically you have to live in Nashville for 5 years. And after spending that time, you kind of make all the inroads, and you make suddenly you're there and able to do the things that you went there to do in the first place. But so few people make it through 5 years of struggle. Right?
Yep.
So I think that's the important thing, is like, Matt D'Avella in his video tried to minimize the struggle a little bit. And I think just like tried to say, don't pretend the struggle doesn't exist, just do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you can pretend that the struggle doesn't exist. Because the struggle is real. Yeah. I mean, it's real for me every day. Every day I wake up and I think, like, am I doing things right?
It's weird, because I think it all comes down to the individual. I mean, we all deal with things differently. Like I said, I can look to my left and right, and I see people that have started YouTube at or around the same time as me, and they're doing a hell of a lot better than me, but I don't really let that get me down. I just keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
But other people that might be in my similar position might be like, damn, what am I doing wrong? Do I suck? And they might give up or do things differently. So it's all about individual perspective.
Right. I think, I think I've said this before on the podcast. When I was in grad school, one of my professors was like, if you can do anything other than writing and be happy with your life, go do that, because this sucks. It's like, just trying to make it as a creative person in any creative venture is way more difficult than a lot of the alternatives.
Oh yeah.
And there's only a certain number of people. I don't know if it's a certain kind of insanity. I don't know what it is, but most people will quit doing a thing if it's not working after a certain point. But it's only the people who keep doing it even when it doesn't make any sense to do it anyway.
Yeah, our buddy
that have that success.
Our buddy John Prosser calls it the dip. If you can survive the dip, then you are going places.
Right. I want to say thanks to Alex for the support with the super chats tonight. It's been great.
Can I borrow him? Good Lord, he needs to my live stream, man.
Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things where people are looking for that, like, how do I make it happen right away? Because they it's not only that they want to have success right away, it's that they want to be, I guess, verified. They want to know that what they're doing is worth doing.
Yep.
And the only way that you can know that is like, people have watched my video or whatever. X number of people watched my video, so that means I did good, right? But that's like a false comparison.
Yeah, because the YouTube algorithm is weird. So you really shouldn't, like, judge your self-worth off your video view count. 'Cause yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. I think that I put so much of my own personal worth and value into the things that I did, like into music, into writing, into all the creative things that I did. And YouTube was kind of a thing that I just did for fun. It was a thing that I could do. I could make a video in an evening and just kind of have fun with it, and it would be creative. It would be, doing all the things that I'd like to do, but I didn't really care about it. And that's the thing that's like I'm going through right now, is like, now I have to care.
Right.
But it's even more important that I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. That you make a good point. Of course, you have to care, but you got to treat it like you don't care. You have to attack it the same way that you attacked it before. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
really be in an interesting position.
Yeah. And I mean, my channel's definitely changing. I mean, what got me to where I am right now is not what's going to get me to where I'm going next.
That is correct.
Because it became really clear this year that, like, I didn't want to just be the ranty, painfully honest tech character guy and sort of run that into the ground, because A, it's not real, and B, it's stressful, and C, it would only work for a certain amount of time. And if you're a one-trick pony, eventually that trick, nobody cares about that trick anymore. So whatever is going to happen as my channel grows, it's not going to be the things that got me here. It's not going to be the million view iPhone video that I had. That's not going to be the thing that is like the longevity of my channel.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't have another 1 million view video either.
No. I mean, I certainly could, and I would love for that to happen, of course, as would anybody. But the key thing was that I think for a while, even if it was just like in the back of my head, I was kind of chasing that thing. Whatever it was that got that, I was trying to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not it was like, 100,000 views or 500,000 views or whatever, like, I was always chasing those view numbers. And it went on for long enough that it seemed like that's what I was supposed to be doing. And then I woke up one day after I'd already quit my job, and I was like, if I chase this stuff all the time, if I just keep chasing these numbers, then I'm just going to be miserable. So I had to just, find a way to like doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Well, if you enjoy what you do, then it will all work out in the end. Hey, Preston, thank you for checking me out, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, but, if you're not subscribed to Viper, you should go over and find him. If somebody could drop the link to Viper's channel,
or just click on my name on the chat. You can do that too.
Yeah, it's VYYYY PER. But yeah, he's just click on that link there and go check him out, because he's doing some really good stuff.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
And speaking of really good stuff, this conversation has been really good stuff.
It has. Thank you.
Yeah, it's and for a night where there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about, we found things. So
we did.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna start to wrap it up now, because I feel like you got to leave them wanting more. That's what they say.
Now, are we wrapping up the podcast, or are we wrapping up everything?
The podcast.
Okay.
This episode of the podcast.
All right.
Yeah. Although Tech Fury brings up a good point related to what we were just talking about, that PewDiePie has had many different phases of his career where
yes, he has.
He's done many different things. So at any rate, I want to say to everybody who's been here tonight, thank you so much for checking out the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. It has been wonderful. If you don't follow me on social medias, then you should do that. Jason T. Lewis, PhD, almost everywhere except for on YouTube, which you should know where I am there. And you got to go find Viper on all his social outlets. as well. Yeah, this has been good.
Thank you for having me, sir. I appreciate it.
No, it's been my pleasure, man. And for everybody out there, really enjoyed the conversation tonight. And once again, my name is Jason. We've had Viper here with us tonight. This has been the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast. Podcast so honest it hurts. Until next time, we're out.
And that is the end of the podcast portion. Can't believe you got theme music, man.